everyone. Good evening. Welcome to your Sunday Tonic conversation with the Love Crusader. It's another live edition, and we're super excited to bring
Woo!
you this edition again. If you're coming across the platform for the first time, it's called Conversation with the Love Crusader. It's a platform where we talk about love, we talk about life, relationships, marriage. We do it in a fun way. So please subscribe, share, tell your friends about the platform, and join in the conversation. It's a conversation. Have your say. Tell us what you think or about the conversation. We like it to be as interactive as possible. I am in the studio this evening with my very beautiful, intelligent coach, Haruna Roots. Say hello to the
Hi. Hi, Love Crusader. Always so good to be on this platform with you.
welcome, my darling. I always look forward to it because I get sensible conversation from you, even outside, internet or when we're offline. And I know that our listeners are in for a fantastic time, today. Yeah. So, and it's a controversial topic. It is one that many people run from. It's one people don't want to talk about, but we talk about them. We come here and we talk about those things your pastor don't want to talk about.
Yes, so
So, yeah, we are talking about love, divorce, and remarriage. Love, divorce, and remarriage. That's what we're talking about today. And like I said, invite your friends, tell people to come and join the conversation. Let's get into it because baby girl, once we start now, 1 hour will run off on us and will not. The time always runs quickly when we're having fun. Divorce, the big D word that
yeah.
many don't want to hear, that many don't want to talk about. We all come before the altar. We say, till death do us part. We are joyful. We are dancing. See, the way they dance these days, I'm thanking God that I did not marry now, because I don't know how I would have done those dance steps. So
Yeah.
with all this joy, the dancing, the everything, few months, few years down the line, they are sitting before a judge where they're saying we can no longer live together. Whether it's irreconcilable differences, I think that's always the language and the word that is used. Why do people get to that stage? How do people get to that stage?
Hmm. That's a big question. That's really,
Man,
really true. Yeah, the joy is there, everybody celebrates, and there is an expectation that we're going to, dig this thing out until we are old and gray. But I feel like there are a lot of reasons why, people find themselves at that level. Sometimes it's the most popular one that our people in this age use, which I hear a lot. We are falling out of love.
mhm,
Yes, we are falling out of love. And the question is, did we fall into love in the first place? Like,
mhm.
it sounds like we stumbled into it, and it's like, we've woken up now, we're smelling the coffee, and like, nah, I can't do that. So I just want to get out of it. Other times, it's like you said, people say it's differences that cannot be reconciled. We are not compatible. That's another one I know we hear a lot. We're not
Mm,
compatible. Everything we've done to become as compatible as possible is not working. Other times, it's expectations are not met. Oh, I expected that you're going to make me happy. I
mm,
expected that you're going to serve me. I expected that you be my ATM machine, dispensing the money. You're not dispensing as much as I expected. Or I expected you to be my knight in shining armor, and you're not
mm.
romantic, you're not lovey dovey, and all that. So many reasons. Other times, it's very severe cases of abuse or whatever. Yeah.
Underneath it all, underneath it all, and I think I'm still working on that research. thinking about I putting up how I'm going to put up the book, I think underneath it all for me is unforgiveness.
Wow.
No, besides the abuse. Let me quickly throw that caveat.
Hmm.
Besides the abuse, because if someone is in an abusive relationship where life is at stake, where, you know, mental health is at stake, that
Yeah.
one is not compromisable. It's not something that one will be doing a conversation around, oh, please forgive, stay, don't stay, especially
Yeah.
if efforts to reconcile or mend things are not working, because it takes both to tango.
Yeah.
However, underneath all the other stuff, irreconcilable differences, he or she doesn't make me happy, he or she doesn't care for me, whatever, all the grammar and all the other grammar, I believe is unforgiveness.
Hmm.
Because no matter what happens, if we're able to forgive ourselves, then maybe we will not get to the point of divorce. I
Hmm.
could be wrong.
I hear you. Honestly, I do. And the offense, I think that's one of the shocks that I received when I got married. The frequency of offense. Oh my God. Before you finish processing one, bam, you are hit with another. And I'm like, God, let me just get over this one now that you said. I've not gotten over it. Another one as if. I think you're right. A lot of us have not come to terms with the fact that offenses will come. But how do we get to that place? It's quite difficult, right? Of being able to forgive. But I feel
Exactly.
like most times we pile sentiment upon sentiment, and then we can be saying, you remember 2012, when we first got married, you did the same thing. Then 5 years later, after I tried to forgive you, you did it again, and now you're doing it again. I can't take it. Yeah.
Exactly. You just hit the nail on the head. That's piling and piling and piling and piling. And for some people, like you said, yes, these offenses, they are in one day. I think someone has said, it was a preacher, so I can't remember. He said that when Jesus was talking about 70 times 7, he was actually referring to marriage. It's in marriage that you can find that 70 times 7 offense in one day. I mean it. You can.
Yeah.
So if we don't learn to quickly just let go of
Yeah.
one, before you know, the next one is going to happen. And before you know,
Mm,
the next one is going to happen. Then a small thing can actually become even a bigger thing. And,
mm,
it spirals out of proportion. So we're first saying here that, the first point of what to do when there's a problem or there's a conflict is not divorce.
yeah.
It's a big word. The D word is a big word.
Mm,
And whether we like it or not, there are some people who have divorced already today who regrets it.
yeah.
They regret not doing enough. They regret not trying enough. They regret not. So I always say to couples, this is what I say. Before you walk out of that relationship, ensure that you can say, I have done all that is
Mm,
possible to do.
mm. Have I
I'm
done
going
all?
Yes, ask yourself, have I
Wow.
done all that is possible to do? Have I, you know, have I used all available
Tools that God has
resources
provided.
and tools to ensure that we stay together? Because just like, a bad marriage has its side effect, divorce
Mm,
also has its own effect.
absolutely.
Psychologically, physically, whichever, it
Mm,
also has its own effect. So that's where we are going to hang that this evening, to say, before you even think of the D word, please ask yourself, have I done all that is possible to do? Okay,
wow.
let's move on from there because that is not the main thing. The main cross of the matter is divorce a sin?
Hmm.
Let's ask the
Dun,
question.
dun,
Well,
dun.
I've told you, the one pastor refused to say in church, we are talking about it here today. Is divorce a sin?
Hmm. That's a huge question, and I think yes. I mean, The Bible says in, I think, Matthew chapter 19, when you're reading the Message translation, is very down to earth. And, Jesus says in the beginning, it was not so. That was not the will of God for us. And I think one thing that we need to consider when we're answering that question is the fact that Jesus has come and died and, resurrected after 3 days, and now he's seated at the right hand of the Father. It has not changed the fact that we still live in a fallen world.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the
Mm-hmm.
reality of heaven is the experience of those that have accepted Jesus and are having that relationship with him. That doesn't mean that we don't live in the world and there is so much, that is going on here that makes divorce the reality for a lot of situations. I
Mm-hmm.
know that I remember when Osinachi died, there
Mm.
was a lot of debate, should the church support divorce or not?
Yeah.
Should
Yeah.
she have stayed in for that long? And should you stay in and wait until you die? And so on. And I feel like this is a debate that can go on until Jesus returns. There will always be two schools of thought on this matter. I don't know. What do you think, Mama?
Totally agree with you. Because interpretations of the Bible is quite different. Jesus was speaking, he said, it was not so from the beginning. And that's the truth. God never intended for us to marry and divorce, marry and separate. That's never the intention of God.
Yeah,
From Genesis, he said, this cause a man will leave the father and mother, and they will join together and become one. That has always been God's intention, that we
yeah,
remain one. However, like you said, we are in a falling generation, and marriage is 80%. I'm sorry, so someone may not agree, but it's 80% physical than spiritual. It's not about speaking in tongues in most cases. It's not really about spirituality. It's about the action of the two to stay together.
mm,
So sometimes, if one person has taken an action, that means that the marriage has come to an end. Then the other person does not have to be tied continuously to this person.
yeah,
So while we are not saying divorce should be the first point of call, we are saying that there are situations that there's nothing you can do. If a
yeah.
man, and I've seen this kind of situations before, a man carries his bag and leaves.
Mm,
And then they tell the woman, well, you are still married. 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 10 years. As far as I'm concerned, I will use the Bible in First Corinthians to answer that person who has left that marriage for 10 years, for 5 years, for 6, 7 years, is now an unbeliever.
mm,
And should be treated as such.
mm.
And even the Bible tells us that at that point, the believer is free.
Yeah.
The believer is free. So if one person has made it difficult for the marriage to continue, we cannot tie the other person down and say, oh, you must stay in the marriage.
Mm,
Stay single for life and be dying in sin, or, be dying in unhappiness
mm.
just because. So first of all, I think the answer here is divorce is not a sin. There is no biblical backing to confirm that divorce is a sin. There is a place where it talks about God saying, I hate divorce.
Yeah.
It never says it's a sin. So people should first of all kill that doctrine in their mind, because this is the reason why some people die in, they die carelessly. They die in an unwanted marriage. God would never wish untimely death for anyone.
Mm,
And you gave a very good example, Dawson and
yeah.
Cheese. There were a lot of people who were saying, oh, why did she stay? Why did she stay? What was she doing there? Why would she not leave the marriage? But there were other people who said, oh, if she had left the marriage, would you people have invited her to sing
Mm,
on your altar?
mm,
Would she not have been regarded? And the church needs to stop this. I don't know how we are going to do it. Stop judging people and pushing
mm,
them out to death. Because it's the
Yeah.
fear of that judgment sometimes that keeps people tied up, in bondage,
True.
and make it look like, what will the church say? Oh, what will the people say? Oh, they will say I'm not holy. They will say I'm not. They will not. As much as we're not saying just go and throw your marriage away, we're saying that it can get to a point where that is necessary.
Hmm.
And if at any point, in fact, for me, that is the major one. If at any point your life is at stake in a marriage,
Yeah.
please run.
Yeah.
Don't even just divorce. Run. Pack your shoe and run, so that you can still fulfill your purpose on earth and make heaven.
Absolutely. Don't reach heaven too early and God will be like, how did this happen?
Yes. How did you get here? I was not expecting you at this time. You have come on your own. I did not
Yeah.
invite you to come at this time
Yeah.
because you died untimely in the name of
Mm.
marriage. It doesn't
Mm.
have to lead to death. So if your life is at stake, if there's anything that is challenging your life, please run. And it doesn't mean that you are no longer God's child. It doesn't now mean that God hates you. Because
Yeah.
God never said he hates the divorcee. God said he hates divorce. Abi?
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a difference between the act and the person, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
he says he hates divorce. He never said he hates the divorcee. So if you find yourself, maybe you're already divorced, it wasn't your plan, it wasn't how you wanted it, but it has happened. Or just encouraging you to say you're still God's child. That's not
Yeah.
a reason to run away from God.
Yeah.
I'm turning it to a sermon. Let's come back.
I think some part of this discussion really needs it to be a little bit of a sermon. It's a
Because
serious topic.
it's majorly we, especially the Christians, who take it so seriously that, divorce is a sin. And that's why it looks like we are
Mm.
talking more about the Bible today. I know this my platform is not a Bible platform, but you people know I'm a person of faith. So
Yeah.
somehow my faith comes into these conversations.
Yeah.
And the truth is, some pastors needs to be educated on what the word of God says, because they are busy leading people to their death
Mm.
in the name of they must stay in the marriage. Now, another one which pastor has said here is, and thank God this is a pastor that is saying it, so we can quote him. Divorce is not encouraged in Christianity, but it is permitted in some circumstances, majorly adultery.
Mm.
The Bible allows divorce if one or both partners are unfaithful. So the question I'll ask here, Mama Ruth, is it just about adultery? Because I mean, if someone cheats on the other, makes a mistake and cheats on their partner, it can
Mm.
be forgiven.
Yes.
But how about a perpetual cheat?
Ah,
Hmm.
run for your life. Honestly, and Mama, it's really the first question I ask, when women call me and they're like, oh, my husband has traveled, he's working in another city, I'm with the kids in another city, but now I have found out, I've seen on his phone this, that. The first question I ask is, have you confronted him? And she says, yes, we've gone through this whole thing before. Then I say to the person, one of two things. Do you think this person is willing to truly repent
Mm-hmm.
and make a commitment to you and to this marriage? If
Mm-hmm.
not, this marriage has finished. You're just hanging around, killing yourself and killing your children. I'm sorry. That's the
You see
truth.
that word you just used now, we're going to come back to it. So say this
Mm.
marriage has finished.
Has finished.
Now, so the truth here is, we are not saying, oh, he cheated on me, let's go and divorce. We are saying that a person who continues to cheat is an unrepentant sinner
Yeah.
and should be treated as an unbeliever. I'm repeating that word though, because it says it very clearly in First Corinthians. If I and you, if you're a child of God and you fall into sin, the Spirit of God quickens you to want to come to repentance, to
Yes.
confess, to try to
Yes.
change. But to continue to perpetually live in sin, God's children don't live in sin.
Yeah.
Do you see the difference? That is why
Yeah.
the Bible says that the one who is a child of God does not sin. His Bible is not saying the one who is a child of God is perfect.
Mm.
He's saying the one who is a child of God does not live in sin. So if you continue to live in sin, you can fall. Scripture says you even fall 7 times, you rise again.
Oh yeah.
But when it has become a habit, and some will justify it, it's become
Yes.
a lifestyle. Auntie, run. If not, they'll bring disease for you. You'll be there.
That is what breaks my heart, Mama. That is what breaks my heart. There is
Mm,
no respect for you, no regard for you. And
mm,
then if you are somehow protected by God and preserved, and you
mm,
don't get into any sickness as a result of this, it becomes evident to the children what this partner is doing.
mm,
And then the question in the mind of the child is this okay? So I'm now like, we are not only spoiling this current experience, we are going into the future of these children and we're planting some patterns and some seeds that would affect the lives of these children. If it is a girl, this girl is going to grow up and think it is okay to be cheated on and to be disrespected. If it is a boy, he may grow up and think it is okay or it is even impossible to be faithful to your wife because he never
mm.
saw a father who could do that. So what a spouse is doing to their children when they stay in such marital relationship, it goes beyond them.
Mm, Powerful, powerful. And you, that is a nail you just hit on the head. Many of us are not conscious of that fact that, when we stay in those kind of relationship, we're not just being destroyed ourselves, but we're also allowing our children
Mm,
to be destroyed emotionally. We are not modeling the right relationship for them to learn from it.
mm,
And like you said, yes, you hear some women, even now, funny enough, in this generation, I don't know whether they are just trying to chase clouds and get internet views. But I watch a video and a woman is say, so because he cheat on you, you want to leave. Cheating is not a, it's a man's nature. Hello, a woman defending it. It's natural for a man to cheat. Then that tells me that this girl actually grew up in the kind of house we are describing.
yeah,
All she knows, or that woman knows, is a lifestyle of a man that does nothing but cheat. And
yeah,
so, she feels it's okay. This is how the life should be. So we should also be careful, and
yeah.
you made one statement. You said sometimes people have already, they are the only one now in a relationship.
Mm,
They've checked out.
yeah,
Either the other person has checked out and you're just there, thinking that you're still in a relationship. You're not. They've
yeah,
checked out. They are already with someone else. They are just coming home physically. Everything about them is outside.
yeah.
And yet you still see some people, they are in fact praying. Okay, let me not go to that part because I know prayer works. Let me leave it. Because they will say I'm discouraging prayer. I'm not trying to
No,
discourage
no,
prayer.
no. I honestly think we should go there, Love Crusader, because the Bible says that we should watch and pray.
Mhm.
And the watching part is where God makes us conscious that there are certain actions you should take yourself. So
Mm,
for that spouse, you need to hold that partner accountable. And that is what I would insist. If you
word.
find something on your spouse's phone, you discover this person has been philandering and just moving from person to person. One of the painful calls I received, she's like, every city the person goes to, my husband goes to, there is a girl he has an appointment to meet with. And I'm like, wait, what? And you are doing this the second time? So
Mm,
I would want you to hold the person accountable. And I feel that is what God would do. So you're praying, but also you need to put some boundaries in place and ask the person to show up for this marriage. I mean, it's you said it earlier, it takes two to tango. So if you've decided not to show up, then my next question to you is, hey, what's your plan?
Mm,
What's your plan? Are you
Really,
going to
what's
keep
your plan?
cheating? Yeah.
Good
So
question. What's your plan? What's your
what's
plan?
the plan?
And
Yeah.
and I think the one that is the most, the one that is a crime is to stay in an abusive marriage.
Yeah.
That's the one that is a crime. To stay with an unrepentant abuser. In
He's
fact,
going to
some people
change.
will tell you that some people will tell you that abusers don't change. That's topic for another day
Yeah.
because that's another research. But I think they do. I think anybody can change.
Anybody can change. It's just the
Yes,
willingness.
I think so too. I think
Yeah.
anybody can change if they are willing, if they are conscious, if they want to work on whatever the problem is. Some
Yeah.
is deeply rooted, maybe from what, like we were saying earlier on, wrong backgrounds. This is how their father treated their mom, this is how their mom treated their dad. So that's how they are now treating their own spouse. But it's something that can change.
Yeah.
So if you now live in an abusive relationship and you continue to pray, they'll tell you, "Oh, be praying, God will give you victory." I think there are other battles to fight. I'm
Absolutely.
sorry. I'm
No,
a
man.
mender. I'm a
Mm.
mender. I believe in mending. That's the name of my ministry, is Mend Fences.
Yes.
However,
Because
however,
for you to mend that fence is like when you have a wound. When you want to treat a wound that has already been infested by, bacteria and dirt, you have to remove everything, right?
clean
You have
everything
to
up.
uncover it. It's like you're shaking the table. You want to uproot some of the legs of the table because it's not fixed correctly. So
Mm,
sometimes it means you might need to move to separation. You might have to move your things out of that space, move to
exactly.
another space where you're safe. If the person has said, I am willing to do the work, that person has agreed to go for therapy, unearth all the trauma they have gone through that has made them be people that are loving, putting pain on another human being. It's a psychological problem that needs to be fixed.
Mm.
If that person is willing to do the work, then yeah, there is an opportunity for that fence to be mended. But some things have to be shaken first.
Yes, 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 I totally agree with you. And it takes both. I keep saying it takes both. It is not, oh, let the woman go and be praying like they do in some patriarchal societies. Let me not mention any country so they will not come and attack me after. Some patriarchal societies where the man is never wrong. They keep
Yeah.
telling the woman, it's a woman that built a home. Go and pray. Go and fast. Let the Lord deliver him. Okay.
Mm.
Like I said, I believe in the efficacy of prayer and I pray. But there are some things, Sister Haruna already told us, Bible says we should watch and pray. There are some things that is my part to play, which means I need to watch. There are some things I need to do. Faith without works is dead. I need
Mm.
to put my works in addition to my faith. And
That's right.
if one of the action requires that you pack your load and run, sister, run. Brother, run. Because there are
Mm.
some men who are dying in abusive relationships.
Yeah.
We most times, because statistically it's always been more about the women. So
Mm.
when we talk, most times it feels like, oh, the man is abusing a woman. But some men are also going through terrible times
I
in their
agree.
relationship.
Yeah.
And don't die in silence, brother.
Mm. Mm.
Even if you don't want to divorce, separate for a while.
Yeah.
Separate for a while. Heal and return.
Yeah.
Treat, it's like the wound. She has said, let's go treat the wound. Let the
Yeah.
wound heal. Let this one heal. Then both of you come back. Then you
Yeah.
can become two whole people who are now working to get this marriage, on to do the marriage better.
Yeah.
But
Separation.
if you
Yeah.
stay there, it's like somebody like the wound you are talking about now. Somebody who has a wound and keeps scratching it.
it becomes worse. Separation is really healthy, like you said. One thing it does for you, who is the one that is being abused, is that it helps to kind of jolt the other partner that is the abuser into reality. Oh, I could actually lose this person.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Suddenly, this person is on their own. You're gone. They don't see you every day. They are looking for the punching bag. There is no punching bag. And then it becomes real to them that I'm the problem.
Yes.
And maybe that person will now make efforts to change. So
Yes.
yeah, separation.
Totally. Totally agree. We've already talked about separation. That's why we didn't bring it into this topic. If you've missed it, please go back. It was our first topic this month. We've talked about separation, how separation can help your relationship. It's not just separate and everybody go different ways. It's separate to heal, to work on yourselves and come back together and become two whole people. If you just separate, then you don't take any actions to heal. In the long run, it becomes separation that leads to divorce. However, some separation might still lead to divorce. Because if you
Mm,
separate and, for example, you need counseling and you're saying, let's go for counseling, and then the other partner is not willing to go, they don't,
mm,
so, that's why I say it takes two.
yeah.
Both of you must be willing to submit to the process of the healing. If not, if one person goes and does the counseling, one person goes and does the prayer, one person go and climb the mountain and go and get the victory and come back and meet the person, the other one at home who is still, let me not call nobody's a devil, but you know what I mean, who is still the way he is.
Yeah.
The whole of the effort, the whole of the counseling, the whole of the prayer that the other person has done becomes a
Mm,
wasted effort.
yeah.
So that's why it's important that it's separation to heal on both sides, and then we come back, healthier,
Mm,
better people. All right.
mm,
So now the kind of debate that we that brings it is what we're going to say. That someone has said that they are reminding us that what God has joined together, let no one separate. We're not talking about people separating them. We're talking about people separating themselves. If you by your action separate yourself, nobody's separating you now, because
yeah.
they let no man separate. So
Yeah.
we're not talking about a third party separating anyone here. We're talking about people separating themselves by their action. And then the
Yeah.
person also says, this pastor that is still talking, say divorce is permitted if a spouse is abandoned by an unbeliever. The
Mm,
Bible also allows divorce in other circumstances such as addiction, abuse, or brokenness. You see that small word brokenness like that, it's a big word.
yeah.
Because when we talk about abuse, most cases the physical abuse is very obvious.
Yeah.
And that is when people are quick to say, they are beating you. You have scars. People can see
Mm,
it. Oh, leave. Why are you still there? But you see psychological and emotional abuse. That's what leads to
yeah.
that brokenness. That's what leads
Mm,
to mental loss. Loss of mental health.
mm,
That one too is horrible. You're living
yeah.
with a gaslighter, a manipulator. All
Mm,
right. let's talk about remarriage.
oh, yeah.
So, as much as is possible, let's prevent divorce. We want it prevented, and that's why this platform is here. Learn, unlearn, relearn, do whatever it is that is within your power to do.
Mm,
Ensure that you've prayed, ensure that you've gone for counseling, ensure that you've sought spiritual or higher help, ensure that you've involved family members if need be, if you have reasonable family members, because some family members will tell you, what are you even doing there?
yeah.
They are the ones who will be first to tell you, what are you even doing there? You should have left since. So
Yes.
do all that is within your power to do. But after you've done all, you stand and now evaluate and say, where is this going to?
Mm,
What is the next step? Because God also doesn't want you to live an unhappy life.
Mm.
We cannot be too heavenly conscious and earthly useless.
Mm.
It's not God's will. I heard that
Yeah.
first from Pastor Adesoye. It was his birthday last week. Shout out to him. Pastor Shola Adesoye. My papa, yes, so my papa those days in school. I know he doesn't remember me anymore these days, but anyways, happy birthday again, Papa. He was the first person I heard that word from. He said, "You cannot be heavenly conscious and earthly useless." And it's
Mm.
not with me. Even on this earth, God wants you to fulfill purpose. You are not here by mistake. You are not here to just come, give birth, go, die. There's a purpose for your life. So
Mm.
if that marriage has become a hindrance, reevaluate.
Yeah.
Yes, if it's going to lead to abuse and brokenness, or is leading to abuse and brokenness, reevaluate. If it's perpetual cheating, these persons are not repentant adulterer, reevaluate. And if divorce becomes the option, don't be afraid to take it.
Mm.
It doesn't mean that you are no longer God's child.
Yeah.
Yes, you can make heaven as a divorcee. If anybody tells you that because you divorce, you will not make heaven, they are lying.
Mm.
There is a lie from the pit of hell.
Yeah.
Nothing that there's nothing that substantiates it. There's no evidence to support it. The truth is, we wish it will not happen, but if it does happen, then you can still live a very fulfilled life. I think that's the
Yeah.
point I want to make here.
Yeah.
You can still live a very fulfilled life as a divorcee. You can still be all that you want to be. You can still do all that you want to do. If you just trust God and keep holding on to God, He will take you to where He needs you to be. Some will be
Absolutely.
afraid. Yes, some will be afraid. Oh, and sometimes they say stay for the children. I want you to talk about that one, Sister Ruth. Because
Yeah.
say stay for the children. Should we be staying for the children?
They are breaking all the tables today.
Let's break it. Let's pieces the
Hey.
table. Pieces the table, Mama. Let's pieces it.
Honestly, I think that that era of staying for the children was actually an ignorant era. I'm sorry to say. When I say it's an ignorant era, I mean that the word had not become as clear as it is today.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was not enough information, there was not enough understanding and wisdom to the, translation of the word. And I think there is a little bit of cultural context to it as well, where it is expected that the wife is the homemaker, the mother is the glue and the center of the family. And so once you say we are separating, you are kind of scattering everything, and so it doesn't matter if life is threatened. It does not matter if these same children that need to be protected are now being exposed to harm, still stay for the children. So that's the question you need to ask yourself. Will this separation or divorce or eventually remarriage that we're going to talk about, will it be for the betterment of this child, or is it going to reduce the quality of life of that child? If you're in a marriage that is reducing the quality of life for your child and yourself, then you are not protecting your children by staying in that marriage. Because what it means is that you've exposed that child, they become vulnerable children. You know, on the indices of vulnerability, orphans are number one on the list. But suddenly here is a child that has a father and mother, but their vulnerability has increased. So I think the question you need to ask yourself is, will staying really be the best thing for these children? I think what we need to switch that statement is actually leave that marriage for the sake of the children.
Oh, God.
Leave the marriage for the children. Yeah.
You are hitting it on point, man. Let the
Yeah.
tables break if they want to break. Let's just say it as it is. Leave, flee.
Yeah.
Carry
Yeah.
your children and flee.
Yeah.
Don't even leave the children behind, because anybody who is toxic enough for you to want to run away from will definitely project that toxicity to your children.
Yeah.
So it's for the children that you even need to leave. Lots of children are broken, they are battered, they are hurt, they are nursing bitterness, because mothers have stayed, fathers have stayed for the children. And some people be like, oh, well, it's a sacrifice you make. If that sacrifice, like you said, wait, if the sacrifice is such that would even destroy the children, how is it a sacrifice for them? How does it help them? How is it a benefit to them? Would you not rather have the children, be with you and you be single, for example, and they're happy? So I don't think I think, yeah, Sister Ruth is right. Knowledge has not increased. Now knowledge has increased. You have no excuse.
Yeah. And I think,
That's
sorry, Mama, before we,
God.
we, we move
God.
on, yeah, there is another dimension to the reason why people don't leave, even when their children are in harm's way and they are in harm's way. Economic reasons.
True.
Women say, oh, I don't have anything. I don't have a job. He's the one that pays the bill. Ah, Mama, you're the best person to talk about this one. Women empowerment. Let's eat that.
that is why one of my dream, and I trust God that very soon, that dream is going to happen, is to build what I call villages for women, especially in patriarchal societies. Might not be here where I live currently, where women can come, find refuge, find a place to live temporarily, learn some form of handwork or trade or something they can do
Yeah.
to be able to sustain themselves and be empowered to
Yeah.
live on their own. You have hit it on the nail on the head. Most times, economic deficiency is the reason people stay. How am I going
Yeah.
to cater for these children? How will I train the children? How will I, in the long run? But look at the picture. God forbid. We've had situations where a man kills the wife. He goes to jail. The wife is dead. He is in jail. What happens to the children? Or
Often.
God forbid, vice versa. We've had situations a woman kills the husband. She goes
Yeah.
to jail. The husband is dead. Then what happens to the children? So in the long run, you're not protecting your child by staying. This is also the reason why, as a woman, you cannot fold your hand and not have anything. As a man, you can't fold your hand and not have anything. Even in marriage, each of us should be financially independent. Topic for another day. We will not live here today. I want Sister Ruth that this topic is very, very wide. So we should scratch the top. But now we are
Yeah.
going. Let's come back to remarriage. I'm able to say something
Yeah.
about remarriage before we go. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's another school of thought that say, well, if you've been abandoned and now there's no choice, you cannot force the person to stay. It's okay, but you cannot remarry. So if you
Yeah.
divorce as a Christian, you cannot remarry. What do you have to say to that?
Remarriage is sin. Well, I honestly think that for me, I follow Kenneth E. Hagin a lot, and he has a book on this love, divorce, and remarriage. And
Oh, wow.
yes, in fact, the way it's like this, honestly. And honestly, I don't think that remarriage is a sin, because just like the parameters you gave, that does not make divorce a sin. Is the
Mm,
same for remarriage,
yes.
because we have talked about how it's a fallen world. We have talked about how there is a way that God would have loved life to go for the human race, but it did not go that way. Eden was God's perfect will.
Mm-hmm.
Eden was God's perfect will, but Jesus coming to redeem us was the backup plan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're talking theology now.
Yes, so go on. Say it.
It was the plan. It was the plan that God had all along because He knew that man would mess up, and
Yes.
so I don't think that the God that gave us redemption through Jesus Christ, the second Adam,
Mm,
will hold back someone from remarriage. The only thing I would say is, how are you going about it? Making sure
mm,
it's not that frivolous. I have, I can just go find a new fresh thing and
mm.
just, yeah, that is very wrong. But if you involve other people in the matter and your journey and you're being held accountable, I think that's something that God could even smile about.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
There are
yeah,
people who've had second chances, beautiful second chances. They've learned from their first mistake. God has given them, as far as I'm concerned, is God that gave them the opportunity of a remarriage, of
yeah,
another love, to be able to experience a new life, to be able to see something differently. It doesn't mean that it is perfect anywhere, but to get a better sense of what God and what love and what God's love and marriage is supposed to be. There are those who've made very, very big mistakes, even getting into the first marriage, and they're able to. And this is where I think Sister Ruth is saying it's not, I'm free now, just jump from one into the other. It's a matter of reevaluating what was my role in the breakdown of my first marriage. So this would be my advice for anyone who is thinking remarriage, what was my role in the breakdown of my first marriage? Because like we've been repeating here, it takes two to tango. Yeah,
yeah,
so even if somebody has abandoned you, or you didn't want the divorce, the person left you, it doesn't mean that you were perfect. You reevaluate. Even in the making of the choice, in choosing that person in the first place, that could have been the mistake you made. Now look at, who was this person? Why did I choose this person? How did I end up with this kind of person? If not, the truth is that the reason why you hear some people say, once the person divorced, they keep divorcing, is because some people don't do that evaluation and they keep ending
yes,
up with the same kind of persons. You jump out from
yeah,
one relationship, you jump into the next one without doing a reevaluation of who you are, finding out, why did this fail? Why did it fail in the first place? Why did it not stand? Why you have to do all of that. And also,
yeah,
let go of the baggage, forgive, because there are some people who are in a new marriage, but they're still carrying bitterness from their first marriage.
mm,
And that means that they cannot enjoy the fullness of what they are supposed to experience here, because now they are comparing. When the man said,
yeah,
hey, maybe he's going to slap me like my first marriage, and all he was just trying to do is correct you.
yeah,
So you must heal. I think that's just the word. You must
yeah,
really heal before you jump
yeah,
into a marriage. Don't just come out
yeah,
from one and then jump into the other. Prayerfully again, think
yeah,
about why you want to remarry. And it's most important if you have children.
yeah,
That is a consideration. Young children, you must be very careful who you bring into the life of your children.
yep.
If not, you end up taking them out of hot water and then you put them into a frying pan.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Hmm. That
Yeah.
is really, really, that's something to be considered because I feel like this point you have made, it needs to be like really loud. People need to take real note of that because, and that's why a lot of people might be against remarriage because they feel like divorce, second husband, third husband, fourth marriage, and people are like, what is going on? It's getting crazy. However,
Mm,
I've seen people that, and I mean, I was telling you earlier, really open to be vulnerable here. You know,
mm,
my sister who has, gone through divorce as a result of abuse,
mm,
domestic violence,
mm,
and has taken time to heal after divorce and took time, honestly, involved spiritual leaders that she trusts, that
Yeah.
have invested in her journey so far.
Yeah.
And, a lot of prayer has gone into it, a lot of growth for her. She has done that evaluation. We've had conversations on how she says, oh, I remember how I saw this red flag and I saw this and I did not pay attention to it. Or she says, oh, I remember how this happened. This is what I should have done. So a
Exactly.
lot of time has gone into rethinking and saying, oh, wow, if I get the privilege to do this again,
Mm.
I will do it differently. And at a point for her, it was all about pursuing what is next that God has for her. And somehow she got to a point where God says, actually, what I have for you next involves remarriage. And she's
Yeah.
like, what? How? Where is the person going to come from? And then the first person came, and she took time praying, and she asked God, just take me through this journey. And she was
Mm.
patient. So I think that's something we need to, talk about. Be patient, involve other people. And the second person has come, and now wedding is happening in November. So yeah.
Yay.
Marriage.
I love weddings. I love marriage. I love weddings. So, so beautiful. I love second chances. I love second chances. Just treat your first one as a mistake. Learn your lesson, from the first one. And then, be determined not to go make that mistake in the next one again. That's just all we're going to say here. But don't let anyone make you feel like you cannot remarry. If you want to, you can. You are allowed to. It's God gives second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth chances to us as human beings. I don't think that in marriage He would not give you a second chance. If God can
Yeah.
forgive our sin and take us back second time, I don't think that in marriage He would not want to give you a second opportunity. If you get the second opportunity, don't repeat the same mistake of your first. That is where the problem is. Don't repeat the same mistake. And if you choose not to remarry, make sure it's your choice. Don't live a life of sin, because that is the problem.
Oh,
Yeah, some
yeah.
people now think, oh, divorce is not it's a leverage to now become promiscuous and start living a life of anyhow. That's not what we're talking about or encouraging on this platform. We're saying that if in the long run, in the journey of life, I know a friend of mine, a male, who told me, I got married at 19. She was 18, I was 19. I didn't know nothing about marriage. I had no business getting married. But they were, of course, not believers then. She got pregnant while they were still trying to get into college, and then ended up both of them not going to college. And they started raising child. Oh, you're not pregnant, they got married. He said it was the worst 5 years of his life. Worst 5 years of his life. And then they divorced. Everybody went their separate ways. He went back to school. His mom took the son. Luckily, they didn't have a second child. And the mother took the son from them. She went back to school. He went back to school. They are still friends with his ex, as in they know each other because they are still in the same town. But his second marriage is 40 years now. He has remarried, and has been able to stay in his second marriage for 40 years. He learned the lessons from, we were children. We made a mistake. This is not, marriage was not what we should have even been pursuing at this stage of our life. So don't let that mistake be your story forever. Don't let that mistake where you die in it. You say you're going to die in it because, oh, you made this mistake. The second time can be the best. The
Yeah.
second time can be God's grace for you. If you find yourself in a situation where you are now divorced, please, you want to remarry, just make sure that you've evaluated what the problem of the first marriage was before you jump into a new one. All right. Do you have any other thing to say? Because that is my last comment on this matter.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly say, these days I hear stories about how children they kind of see other children that have been moved to foster parents. And it's like the foster parents are using all the allowances to buy nice sneakers for that child and all that. And then this child is looking at that child that is now with foster parents like, I wish they would take me away from my parents and give me to a foster parent. And I'm
Just
hearing stories of how children, are fabricating stories about their families just so that they can be taken to foster parents. I'm
end
just
time.
saying that if you are married and you've not asked yourself the question that Love Crusader said at the beginning, have you done everything you should do? Please don't come and be looking at remarriage and be thinking, good idea. Maybe I should jump out so that I can have these guys 40 years. Don't do.
I like that. I like that. I like that she's gone back to remind us that we're not here saying, oh, please just go and divorce and remarry you. We're saying if you're already in a marriage, do all you can. That is why we offer marital classes, we offer pre-marital classes, we work with you, we do counseling with you, and we have our phone number, it's there on our Facebook page. You send us a message, it comes straight to our WhatsApp, you get me directly. If you need counseling, if you need help, if you need, to save that marriage, you want to do what it takes to save the marriage, we are here to work with you. We're here to pray with you. We're here to do what it takes by the grace of God to work with you to ensure that that marriage is salvaged. But when you've done all that you can and it still goes the other way, just know that it's not the end of your life. Your story should not end there. You can still make something beautiful out of that brokenness. All right, that's all our time, people. Thank you so much, Coach Haruna. You see, we've had such a lovely, wonderful, beautiful conversation. Please continue to send, your questions, continue to watch even after we've gone live. Please share these videos. I keep telling you, you could be saving a friend's relationship. You could be saving a brother or a sister just by what, you share to them from this platform. We'll be here again next Sunday. It's the first Sunday of the month next week. And of course, you know what that means. That's our love seat. You don't want to miss it. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for subscribing. Oh, I didn't say it again. Let me say it again. We are now over 12,000 subscribers on YouTube. So welcome to all of our new subscribers. We're growing. Welcome to the Love family. We're happy to have you here. We hope that your time here is profitable and that you take something away from the platform when you come. All right, everyone. Have a love-filled week. We'll see you again next week. God bless you, Ruthie. I love you. Thank you for coming.
Love you.
God bless you all. Bye.